funding framework for our junior secondary schools. Madam Speaker, having been a teacher for many years, there is need and it is proper as per this motion to ensure that the junior secondary schools curriculum and operationalization be anchored in law in the Education Act 2012 by actually amending to capture the spirit of the junior secondary schools. Madam Speaker, we have a curriculum for junior secondary schools that has not been properly developed. Because at the moment, Madam Speaker, in all our schools throughout the Republic of Kenya, there are one teacher against 13 subjects. And what has been happening is a local arrangement between the primary school teachers who are in that school and that teacher that was employed to actually cover up the syllabus in hook and crook to ensure that learners are actually engaged. But in real sense, Madam Speaker, and having passed a budget that included funds to employ more teachers for JSS classrooms, it is therefore evident that there is need to concretize the junior secondary schools in all our primary schools throughout the Republic of Kenya. Madam Speaker, you will realize that from next year, primary will run all the way to class 6. So we have extra 2 classrooms per school, those who have been up to standard 8. It means there is need to increase an extra classroom in every primary school to ensure that once the students reach grade 9, they have a space in all our primary schools throughout the Republic of Kenya to capture the 3 classrooms for JSS. Because that will be the highest level of JSS is at grade 9. So we need them we need to increase the funding. Madam Speaker, the CDF that we have that are in our constituencies, it's not enough to actually fund all the primary schools at once. There is need to rationalize resources and direct more resources to increase an extra class in our primary schools. Madam Speaker, there was an attempt which was not properly done. And this is why I agree with Ruku that this is the earliest thing is to be done now. There was a plan, they built one classroom in every secondary school, which never materialized. It hung in the air. So there is need now, as this one graduates this year to JSS 2 or 8, there is need to plan ahead of time so that whenever they reach grade 9, there is a space for them. Madam Speaker, there is also need, and this country should listen, is that the report should finally be released because it's not only about JSS. The presidential working part on reform of education should finally unveil their official report so that the children of Kenyans are not, and the teachers are not working on guesswork. Madam Speaker, what has been happening now is for those teachers who are P1, they are now being asked to go for a refresher course in teacher colleges to be able to actually teach CBC curriculum. Madam Speaker, that is good, but there is also need to take the secondary school teachers who are supposed to handle the junior secondary schools for another refresher course to be able to handle the CBC curriculum now revert at that level as junior secondary schools. So that, remember, the teachers that are handling these students now were only trained in 2 subjects. As per the, those who went for diploma and those who have gone degree, they were only trained in 2 subjects. And yet, we have a curriculum that has about 14 subjects. Madam Speaker, I agree that now proper guideline of the development of the curriculum, the regulations, the guidelines, so that the children of Kenya do not operate on a trial and error learning process. These are our children, and we want them to have competence as envisaged by this law. by this new curriculum. The CBC is meant that when you graduate from junior secondary, there is what is called pathways. Those who will go for the STEM, the science and technology, engineering and maths, it's called STEM. And those who will pursue career in arts and sports. So at that pathways, the students that graduate at grade 9 must be knowledgeable enough to be able to choose which path they will be able to take to pursue their education. Madam Speaker, the earlier the better, and this is why I support this, because we want at a level of exceeding of grade 9, people who are knowledgeable enough to pursue various places and education. But as well, there is also something not very clear. What about these established high schools? The Alliance of this world, the Mangus of this world, the Kapsabet of this world. We need to equip those schools to become the senior secondary schools where students now will exceed to go to those schools so that they don't become village high schools and national schools. Because the consequence of that is every high school in that community will take their own, and that will not bring nationalism and cohesion. We need a curriculum that brings together the children of Kenya so that they will be able to study and pursue their education in such a manner that will bring unity and appreciate the diversity of the people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, the junior secondary schools now in our primary schools, we keep them a budget for capitation. Madam Speaker, there should be a proper management of the junior secondary schools apart from the primary schools. This is the only way they will be able to appreciate that if there is a BOM, for example, for the primary, then there should be a separate management entity for the junior secondary schools. And one thing that is puzzling is, will these junior secondary schools operate under a different head teacher, or they will be under the same head teacher of a primary school? These are things that these guidelines must be able to sort out, so that we have a different management because they have a different curriculum. So that the BOM of primary deals with primary matters, and the head teacher of primary will deal with the primary curriculum. And then we have a head teacher that will be responsible for the JSS, because after all, it moves from grade 7, 8, and 9. That's good enough. Those are good number of students to be handled and ran by a principal of their own and a board of their own, so that they will be able to pursue their learning. We also want to make this thing to be affordable to Kenyans. The CBC, the JSS curriculum must be affordable to parents of Kenya and must be accessible to the young. If you look at, I went to my local primary school called Torokwonin. I looked at grade 7. They are very young people. They are not able to track, to travel for long distance to attend their JSS classrooms. Therefore, if we have agreed as a nation that it must be domiciled in primary, then every primary school in Kenya must be able to host JSS classrooms in their schools. Mr. Speaker, this motion should be seen to move from being a motion to a bill. Honorable Ruku, we must fast track this as we pass this motion, turn it to become a bill, so that we have an act and amend the Act of Education Act 2012 to now bring in the new order in our education system. With those many remarks, I support the implementation of this particular motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.